mean...
So what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I know one thing I can guarantee will happen is that Trump will say he won, whether he won or lost.
I agree with that.
Well, that's not a good thing for America,
No,
is it?
I agree with
I think
that too.
on January 20th, 2025, he'll show up at the White House, whether he's invited or not. And I don't think that's going to be good.
You think he's gonna bomb in if he lost?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Bomb is a word I wouldn't even throw around lightly.
Oh, stop it. He's not going to do that.
Right. Like there was never an attack on the Capitol, Megyn.
Oh, I hear you. But he's
That
not going to
never
show up
happened.
at the inauguration.
Like they didn't show up at the Capitol and break windows and knock down doors and kill cops and chase.
They didn't do that.
And they didn't break windows,
They didn't
knock
kill
down
cops.
They of course did.
No, they didn't.
Who did? They died of natural causes that day?
Yeah, nobody died that day.
Cops.
No, not true. Who?
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Here we are on the Megyn Kelly Show on YouTube, and she is talking to Bill Maher, as you can see, who is a very well-known political commentator and comedian. He is quite funny. He's got a sense of humor. Can't say I often agree with what he has to say, but he does get, I can't say that I never agree with him either. Absolutely not. However, he does still seem to be in the throes of Trump derangement syndrome, just like so many people do. Now, Bill is a self-professed lefty, for sure, or liberal. He'd probably call himself a classical liberal or something like that. But he's just repeating lies here, like there was an insurrection. I remember after January 6th, I called my parents a couple days afterwards. I'm based in Europe, as you know, in an unnamed Western European country, and I called my parents, and they were all could not stop telling me about the coup that Trump attempted in Washington. And I was like, a coup? An insurrection? What are you talking about? Yes, I heard that there was a disturbance, that Trump gave a speech and, a bunch of his followers basically had a riot. What's all this about a coup and an insurrection? Were they hanging congressmen up from lampposts in the street? Were they rampaging around with guns and knives, threatening members of Congress? They storming the Capitol building and trashing the place, trying to storm the White House? What happened? And they said, well, no, they didn't do that, but they caused damage. Somebody got killed. And I'm like, oh, you mean there was a riot? You mean like BLM riots? Well, that's not the same thing. Now, as I've said in other videos, my entire family are dyed-in-the-wool progressives, leftists, liberals, whatever you want to call them. We're never going to see eye to eye. In fact, we can't even talk politics. So enough of my personal business. But yeah, I think Bill Maher is still fully in the grips of Trump derangement syndrome. Let's hear what they have to say to each other.
Okay.
Who?
Oh, I don't remember the names.
They didn't. There was Brian Sicknick, who died later after the fact, and the coroner's report did not say it was because of what he had inhaled that day. He said it had possibly accelerated the condition that killed him.
Okay, well, attacked cops. I thought they were
Yes.
I thought they were the law enforcement people. How did we get to this place? I mean, Trump now says he's going to pardon all those January 6th insurrectionists, because who wants to live in a country where the people who try to overthrow the government are seen as the bad guys, huh?
They weren't insurrectionists, Bill.
They weren't.
They were a bunch of numbskulls.
They chased that's so stupid. They chased duly elected representatives out of the building and
No, they didn't. They didn't do that.
wanted to hang the vice president for certifying the election. That's not an insurrection?
This guy, sorry to keep interrupting, but this is insane. A lot of people probably want to hang the vice president and the president. There was never any threat of that at all.
People who engaged in violent acts or actually made threats along those lines are all being prosecuted appropriately. And I've said repeatedly, I hope they get the book thrown at them, and they've had it.
So that's
but
not...
You're
that's
so
not
upset about the entrapment that happened of the Muslims after 9/11. How about the entrapment that happened to some of those J6 protesters?
Wait. Wait. Let's go back to what I'm upset about with the Muslims.
That we talked about after 9/11 and the feds getting involved, saying, don't you want to...
Yeah.
So entrapment...
Well, they weren't Muslims. They were just just guys.
All right. Well, my
I don't
point
think.
is I'm not going to, again, you're making me defend things that I.
Then you shouldn't.
In part.
that are horrible.
But
Then
in
don't
part,
defend them. Why defend them?
Because it's more nuanced than you're suggesting. They were not insurrectionists. There was never any possibility that they were, I've heard you refer to it as a
They
coup,
attempted.
going to take over the government. It wasn't going to happen. It was a protest.
They broke into
it was
the
a
Capitol.
riot.
They broke into the Capitol.
They opened the doors and let them walk in. Security was waving them in one after the other.
I could show you the footage of them knocking through the gates.
I can show you the footage of many of them being welcomed in by cops, Bill. You see, that's the difference
Once
between
they
the two of
broke
us.
down the
I
doors-
will make a distinction between those who truly behaved badly and those who thought
Yes,
they were having a good time in Statuary Hall.
Yeah, there were some people who just came to meander and wander around. That's true. I've seen the documentary that Alexander Pelosi did on it. It's interesting because a lot of them were just like, oh yeah, it's an interesting place to go, and let's see what happens. There's also footage of people, and there were people who absolutely intended to stop that election. Absolutely. So I don't know what you would call that. Maybe you don't like that word insurrectionist because it got it's too anti-Republican, but that's what it is.
I don't agree with you. I don't think the legal definition of insurrection they don't meet, and that's why it wasn't actually charged. It's it's a leftist dream to try to make it sound even worse than it was. These leftists who didn't care at all when their people were out in the roads killing cops, actually killing, hurting cops, killing others in the BLM protests, suddenly found their conscience when it happened on J6.
Killing cops is always wrong. Doing it in the service of trying to overthrow the government of the United States is a little bit different.
It
didn't happen because
it didn't happen.
We were lucky it didn't happen. They tried to make it happen. Attempting to commit a crime is bad. Trump tries to commit crimes all the time, like this one. The fact that he doesn't succeed doesn't make it better. It makes it better for the country. Let's see what happens next time. We are not exactly like the detective and the serial killer. Oh, we're a lot more alike than you think. We're actually not that alike, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah. I agree. We see a very different reality. Which is fine. I mean,
it is fine. We have to be able to talk and disagree and still be civil.
I think we're doing a good job.
Yeah,
we're doing as
best as we can.
That's right.
Yeah, I really don't get it. I think Megyn Kelly is 100% right. It was a protest, and protests that got out of hand, but not that far out of hand, actually. And comparing it to BLM protests, destructive, mostly peaceful, yet fiery protests, we all know what happened, it's a perfectly reasonable comparison to make. And the progressives and Democrats and liberals, whatever you want to call that huge mass of people, were totally in favor of BLM protests. And remember, those were all during the so-called pandemic, when you were supposed to be wearing masks outside everywhere and, distancing, doing social distancing and all that kind of thing. But remember, there were actually articles, and I believe even, please let me know in the comments, didn't even the CDC's issue something saying that, we're supposed to be social distancing, but if it's for protesting, to protest in favor of justice, and that's more important. Maybe it wasn't CDC's, but certainly major media outlets were saying that, like the New York Times. The whole thing was just an absolute farce, and calling it a coup and an insurrection is ridiculous. Sorry. Now, Bill Maher was obviously a bit put out there at the end of the clip I played where, I guess we don't actually have anything in common at all. I guess we can still be civil. Yeah. See, this is exactly what it's like when I talk to everybody in my family. That's why we simply cannot talk about politics in general and Trump in particular. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. I think Megyn Kelly is doing a great job here. Bill Maher, whom I've seen say interesting things, good things, and be quite reasonable, just seems like he just can't get his head around the fact that somebody could see January 6th as something different than he sees it. So if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel and keep making content for you. Thank you very much.